Hello everybody and welcome to the Women's Soccer Show. I'm Ali.
And I'm Sarah.
And by that tone you can tell we are just coming straight off of the Champions League game of Wolfsburg versus Arsenal to the death. It was 3-2 Wolfsburg. No preamble, let's get into it.
I'm telling you right now, this is like when we did the Olympics and first Team GB went out and Helen had to talk about it like 2 minutes after the game ended. And then the US played terribly and they went out and then I had to talk about it 2 minutes after the game. And that's the feeling I'm having right now where I'm like, I'm going to have so many more succinct and better things to say tomorrow because it's just going to be a lot of feelings right now. But I'm going to try my best because this was like, as a fan of soccer,
I was going to say, as a neutral, this game was phenomenal.
This matchup, both legs, like this was a phenomenal matchup. And we called it, like I remember saying, these two teams play so similarly and how they're going to match up is going to be like fire. And it absolutely was. And frankly, if I'm to summarize this whole thing, like if we're not going to analyze it, which we are, we're about to break it down. But if I'm going to make like a top line summary here, the only thing that can be said is that both of these teams should be so proud.
I was going to say, head up Arsenal fans, because your team left nothing on that pitch. You cannot go back and be like, oh, they could have done this, that, and the other. There was nothing left.
Well, they left some ACLs on the pitch, but that's about it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
We're feeling raw. We're feeling the emotion. Let's do it. I mean, let's talk about this game overall because there's a lot to say about it overall. You know, we're talking about the matchups. We're talking about how incredible it is. I think it needs to be commented on also the absolute heart in both of these games. And both of these teams are physical teams, but I think it came out more because everybody was just throwing themselves at the ball, throwing themselves around. Both of these teams play physical, have physical players on it, and just every was just top notch. The physicality, the tactics, the goals, like everything. It started off all Arsenal with that first 2 minutes when there was potentially a handball in the box and I almost lost my mind if that had been called. Correct call. One of the few correct calls made that game by the referee that was not a handball.
Yeah. Oh, interesting, because I thought the ref had a decent game. We will differ on opinions on that one.
Yeah, but then it was all Arsenal.
Yeah.
I mean, Arsenal took control early. Blackstenius had a game. I mean, I don't want to pick a player of the game for Arsenal because it'll just everybody, but Blackstenius was huge and I absolutely loved how direct Arsenal came out with. Like, they just come out playing direct. They knew they had the pace up top and they went to just exploit the back line of Wolfsburg, and that's exactly what they did. And that goal in the first 10 really shook Wolfsburg. They did not respond well to it. They were lucky that it was only 1-0 by the time that half almost ended so they could equalize before the half because, I mean, frankly, they were shaken to the core, and if Arsenal had tucked one more away, it would have been a completely different game. Obviously, that's not what happened, but just to say how shaken Wolfsburg really appeared to be for the first, 30 minutes of the game, frankly.
Yeah, no, you definitely saw that with their backline, mainly Jensen. I have to say, the ex-Arsenal player, I don't think she had a particularly brilliant game in the back line. She was making some really rash tackles, which, again, she was lucky that didn't result in
There were a lot of rash tackles in this game.
Free kicks and penalties and things like that. So they were rattled, but it's sad that Arsenal didn't have the players to capitalise on that.
I mean, I don't even think it was the personnel for Arsenal. It was just, there were chances. And, I mean, Wolfsburg are still Wolfsburg, right? They put up a good fight, but you could tell they were visibly shaken. They were able to defend, but they really weren't able to put together any form of an attack for a good amount of time. They needed to take some time, settle, play defense, and it wasn't until the end of the half when Jill Roord equalized that they were able to take some of that momentum into that second half.
Yeah, Roord, again, was huge for Wolfsburg. Absolutely massive. Was playing that midfield like a violin. It was so good. It was so good.
You forget that Jill Roord is only 26 years old.
I know, she's a baby.
She plays like a veteran. She really does. And she was another player who I think had kind of a rough first half to begin with. And it's veteran players who are able to change and shift their mentality or just be strong enough mentally to have a tough 30 minutes and then come out and score a freaking equalizer in the 41st to send us into halftime at 1-1. But let's break it down by team. Let's talk Arsenal first so that we can end on a high with the winners and carry Wolfsburg into talking and previewing the final. So let's talk Arsenal first.
Okay, so we don't want to pick favourite players, but I do have to say this is probably one of the best games I've seen Blackstenius play.
Yeah, in an Arsenal shirt, that's for sure.
100%. She had the pace. She was everywhere. She was where you needed to be. She got her head on so many crosses. She was unlucky that her second goal, which was discounted, that it was like an arm offside.
She was outstanding. And I love that Jonas came out with these tactics. He knew we're playing at home in front of by the way, how have we not touched on this? Sold out in front of 60,000 fans at the Emirates. The first time that the Arsenal women have sold out the Emirates. And I mean, just another milestone checking off the box for women's soccer. You absolutely love to see it. The atmosphere was electric. And Jonas said, let's come out and let's play direct. Let's play to Blackstenius and let's put this away early. And I love that he did that. I love that he utilized her. And she stepped up, as everybody at Arsenal has been doing. I mean, this is a story of Arsenal this season. It's just never say die. And everybody steps up when it's their turn, when it's their chance. And you saw that with Jen Beattie today, scoring that goal. I mean, the center back, we'll come on to that because that's probably my favorite moment of the whole game. And I was sitting there because Blackstenius obviously got taken off in the middle of the second half, and I could not understand that decision because of exactly what you're talking about.
No one could. Like, if you listen to the commentary, if you look at the commentary, Leanne Sanderson was like, I don't understand why he's done that, because it then became, there were moments, because Heartache doesn't have her pace.
Yeah, exactly. And you could see that. You could see when Heartache came in, there were balls. Manum played a beautiful ball in, but Heartache didn't have the pace to get to it, and nothing happened. You could see that. You could see that they were missing that. But they did ask Blackstenius after the game, and she said that she had something in her quad, and so it wasn't Jonas saying let's change up the tactics. It just was that she was a little hurt and she had to come out, such as the story of Arsenal this season. But look, if you have the pace, use it, and they did, and they certainly did.
Can we talk about Jen Beattie though? Because we've talked about the youth that is in like the Wolfsburg squad and the youth that is in the Arsenal squad. Jen Beattie is a seasoned veteran by now. She's played Arsenal, Man City, back at Arsenal. She's played in Europe before. She is a cancer survivor, has just come back from her breast cancer treatment. And then to get that header, like that equaliser, I had tears in my eyes when she scored that.
I had tears in my eyes. I was screaming for joy. And then she body checked Alexandra Popp. Which I've seen from multiple different angles. From one angle, it looks like Beattie body checked Popp, and from the other angle, it looks like Popp body checked Beattie. But either way, it was like header goal, body check Alexandra Popp, and I went from like a cry, scream of joy into just like hysterical laughter. She, if anybody deserved that, she did, and what a beautiful goal, and what a moment for her. I don't think that when Arsenal lost Beth Mead and lost Vivian Miedema and then lost Leah Williamson right before the first leg of the semis, I don't think anybody thought that this might be the year that it happens again. And I'm like getting chills talking about this because the way they played in that first leg and how it carried through, they were the better squad in my opinion, and they had everybody believing that despite all of this adversity, this might, of all years, be the year that they climbed back. And you know, it could have been, it was just unfortunate for them. Tired legs into extra time, I think, were really just the death of Arsenal. And I think that leads us pretty nicely on to, we have to talk about Wubben Moy and that final goal that Arsenal conceded.
The thing is, I think there is no shame for Wubben Moy, because
I agree.
Bremner is, again, we're talking about veterans. She is a phenomenal player that has come from what could have been a career-ending injury when she was at City. And this is her last season at Wolfsburg. I think they've announced that now. This is her last season at Wolfsburg. So she's going in with the need to prove, to win that last thing, that one more thing. And she does what she does best. We saw it at City all the time when she was their number 9. She can pick any defender's pocket. And to be honest, I say everybody played well for Arsenal. I will have to say that Zinsberg had a terrible game.
I agree. And I'll also say that she's had a terrible season. Zinsberger has been a weak spot for Arsenal.
Yeah.
And I hate to say it, but that's what it is.
So I put less blame on Ruben Moy, to be honest. And like you said, it's tired legs. Bremen hasn't played all of the games, so therefore it's fresher, and it's just what she does.
Yeah, I don't think that there's any Arsenal fan out there that's hanging this on Ruben Moy.
No.
She played an outstanding game, and it was a mistake, but it was a mistake from tired legs. And that's all. There's really nothing more to it, and it stinks that mistake came in that moment when there were 2 minutes until sending it into penalties. But we knew at the end of the 90 that extra time was going to be the hardest for Arsenal because of how depleted they were, because they had no more subs, and they were going to have to get through those 30 minutes with tired legs against Wolfsburg, who were putting on fresh legs every moment they could.
And that's a perfect segue. Let's talk about the winners. Let's talk about Wolfsburg. We've said it before. They were struggling the first half. That early goal really threw them. And I do honestly say I think the biggest difference between this leg and the last leg is Popp.
Yes.
Popp is everything.
Popp is so freaking special. Yeah. How many times did we talk about her this past summer in the Euros?
Yeah.
And we couldn't spend an episode not talking about her because of how special she is. You see what she did for Germany. You see what she does here for Wolfsburg. Look, I want to talk about her as a whole player, but let's just focus on goal scoring ability for a second, because in terms of being a goal scorer,
her head is
she
magic.
is the most she is the most underrated goal scorer in the world. The threat that she presents, and she's like Katie McCabe in the fire that she brings and the physicality that she brings. You want to know where Wolfsburg's physicality comes from? It comes from Lena Oberdorf and Alexandra Popp, because those two get stuck in.
And you want to talk about youth? Oberdorf is in her very, very early. She's like 21.
She's 21 years old.
She's a baby.
I know, I can't believe that.
She's an actual baby. But again, another player that cleaned at the Euros and is absolutely phenomenal in this Wolfsburg team. So
I want to stay on Popp for a second, because I want to ask you what specifically did Popp bring to this leg that was missing in the last leg?
Leadership. She's captain for a reason. They went under for the first 30 minutes, and you can see that she was like geeing them up, yelling at them, and she's a striker, that's what she does. But she defended for her life. She was tracking back. She was in there in the mix with her goalkeeper, with her defenders. She was absolutely everywhere. I think having that leadership and that experience to be like, you're not on your own, come on, let's do this, which they didn't have in the first leg. So Popp, as special as she is with her head, as special as she is with her skills, the leadership she brings cannot be replicated.
We talked about that with Germany, again, going back to the Euros. That's what she was able to bring, along with her very special head, which she was able to use again in this game. But look, Ali, I feel like I've said this so many times on either our Around the World segment or when we're talking about Wolfsburg throughout the entire course of this season, which is we have been saying, do not underestimate this team. I think that because they fell off in recent years, their quality fell off. People have been underestimating them this year, thinking that they're the same Wolfsburg that we've seen in the past 3. They are not. The dominance that they displayed in the German league, I hesitate to say this, but I almost equate the level of people underestimating Wolfsburg right now with almost how severely people were underestimating Barcelona that first year they made it to the finals, where people right now think that Barca will roll over Wolfsburg. This team has very few weak points, and they will match up so well against Barcelona, and we're gonna preview that. But let's talk Chelsea-Barca before we preview the final. Because Chelsea-Barca, I don't feel like we have to spend that much time on, frankly.
It was a boring leg, I'm not going to lie. And it wasn't even because of the goals. We went a whole half and then half a half before there was a goal. It was a great goal by Barca. Brighton getting the equaliser. But I didn't feel any fire or passion from either team.
I think both legs for me, to your point about no fire or passion, both legs left something to be desired from Chelsea. For me specifically from Chelsea. And that's what, we were talking about Arsenal coming out and playing direct. It was almost like Chelsea refused to play direct to Sam Kerr. Barcelona were playing a high line, and you have Sam Kerr, who has incredible speed sitting on your Chelsea front line, and you're not going to play a ball over the top and try to stretch Barcelona's back line. I don't understand why not.
You're not going to play Lauren James. You're not going to, like...
Well, frankly, I thought Lauren James was pretty ineffective when she came on, and I didn't think, at the end of the day, I thought Wrighton was a better pair with Sam Kerr than Lauren James ended up being. Lauren James is an absolute star, and she will be able to come through in these big games, I believe, later on in her career. Currently, she hasn't been herself when the stage is the biggest, and that is concerning.
No, it absolutely is. And you know what? You can give Chelsea something. They did end Barca's home win record on 80 goals. I see a lot of Chelsea fans blaming their injuries, which, frankly, I hate that excuse. We all know, if you've listened to this pod, I hate that excuse.
I don't mind that excuse, but I mean, come on, look at Arsenal.
You have 4 players for every position. You're telling me that you can't... Yes, I get it. It's not like playing in and week out together, but you're telling me that you can't magic something in training with all of those players. If you can't, then that's bad management. And we know Emma Hayes is not a bad manager.
Watch your mouth.
So don't you give me that excuse about it being injuries, because you should be able to fashion something with the talent you have, because they're calling out saying, oh, we've not got our first choice defender. It's like, yeah, but your second choice is Magda Eriksson. Your second, like, come on now.
I'm glad you said that, though, because, Millie Bright, well, first of all, you know that I don't really care about that. Injuries are injuries, and if you want to point to them, because they have been affecting you. But I'm glad you mentioned their defense, because I think this really did show us how important Millie Bright is to Chelsea. And not just in their back line, in their leadership.
100%, yeah. And unfortunately, she's out for an unspecified amount of time.
It is unspecified, but it does seem that she'll be back for the World Cup.
Which I'm, no offense, Chelsea fans, I'm more concerned about.
I think at this point, everybody is. Seeing Leah Williamson on the sidelines, it just, I think everybody was just like, everybody just be okay. If we don't have to play the final. No. All right. Speaking of Emma Hayes, we said this in the last leg, and I'll say it again in this leg. Emma Hayes can do no wrong in my eyes, but I was disappointed in the choices that she made for Chelsea in both of these legs against Barcelona.
Emma Hayes can't do no wrong, however, and I swear she does this on purpose just so that people are talking about the game, but she needs to think before she speaks, because first off, she complained about Arsenal in the Conti Cup doing tactical times out with keepers going down.
Okay, well, that's also something we need to touch on, because that is a thing that's happening.
Literally.
But we're not going to do that now.
As soon as Berger went down, she's out there with a tactics board, so it's like, hush. Second of all, she then said she thought Barcelona were panicked, and I was like, I have never seen a more cruise control Barcelona in my life.
I actually disagree. I don't know about the word panicked, but I do think that Chelsea gave Barca a fight in a way that they were not expecting, and there were moments in that, the first half of this second leg that I did feel that, Chelsea could really do this. There's a chance they could do this. So I don't disagree with Emma Hayes, but it wasn't a complete game. There were moments of that, but it was not a complete game.
Okay, we'll agree to disagree. Now, most important bit is the final. Let's talk
June
about it.
3rd, everybody. June 3rd.
Barca versus Wolfsburg. It's going to be a cracking game, regardless of who wins. I have a very good feeling this is going to be something special.
Before we do predictions, let's talk about how these teams match up against each other, because this is what makes me really excited about it. And Barcelona are obviously the tactical team. They maintain possession. It's
tactical versus physical. That's what it's going to be.
It kind of is, yeah. And I hate to break it down so simply like that, because I don't want to disrespect Wolfsburg in the way, because Wolfsburg are an incredible possession-based team. But we all know what Barca can do. So the reason I'm so excited for this is because I do think that Wolfsburg's physicality is the antidote to Barcelona's possession-based play. I think that is exactly what will throw off the rhythm of Barcelona. If Wolfsburg can lean into the physicality of the game and throw off the rhythm, throw off the mentality of Barcelona, I think that they have a good shot at this.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think it's going to be close. I don't think it's going to be a walkover. I don't at all from either team.
Let's do predictions. Allie, I know that you think Barca are going to take this.
I do think Barca are going to take.
Give me a score line and give me extra time, no extra time, pens, no pens. What do you think?
I'm going to take it 2-1 Barca. I think it's going to go to extra time, not penalties. And I think they'll take it.
You think
in extra
Barca
time.
takes it in extra time?
I think Barca take it in extra time. I think we're going to see what we had here. Barca will go early, and then Wolfsburg will come back, and then they will both defend with their lives, and then Barca will have that little bit of magic at the end.
2-1 is a small scoreline for teams that can score a lot. I'm going to go big time here. Let's go 3-2 Wolfsburg in regulation.
Ooh.
I do think if it goes to extra time, Barcelona have the advantage. All right, June 3rd, everybody. Champions League final. Let's go around the world. Around the world, around the world. One of these days I will put music to that.
Over to France. The true battle in the French league is who is going to get that all-important third Champions League spot. Paris FC losing to Lyon this weekend has allowed Fleury 91 to jump to third. Paris FC arguably have the harder road as they also have the Parisian derby next week.
Over to Spain. Barcelona are officially champions of La Liga. No surprise there. The team have completed their title with a win against Sporting de Huelva and hold on to their title with 26 wins out of 26 and 103 goal differential. That is unreal.
Taking it to the league down under. Sydney FC have taken the A-League title this year with a stonking 4-0 win over Western United. Sydney have been phenomenal this season, so it's well deserved that they've taken it in the playoffs.
And finally, over to Mexico, La Liga MX. Guadalajara drew this weekend, which has allowed their rivals to gain ground. Pachuca's win allows them to come into third, and with Monterrey still to play, nothing is for certain as we head into the back half of the Clausura.
Have you checked out Total Football Analysis yet? TotalFootballAnalysis.com provides researched analysis on loads of football games, including women's football. Want to know why Miedemar scores so many goals? Do you want to explore how City have turned it around this season? Head over to TotalFootballAnalysis.com and sign up to learn more about the beautiful game. We have a special discount for listeners of the Women's Soccer Show. At checkout, type WOSO10 to get a full year for €10. That's €40 off the yearly subscription. Head over to TotalFootballAnalysis.com and type WOSO10 at checkout.
Taking it from the European Premier, we are hitting the NWSL. This weekend was madness, like just utter madness. So we could.
There were a lot of ties. And a lot of bad weather, a lot of delays, a lot of just, NWSL after dark, as they say.
Yeah, so we couldn't find a particular game to highlight because they were all crazy. So we're just going to give you a quick rundown of...
I mean, I did if we're going to pick one, let's be honest, Allie, it's going to be the Portland Angel City absolute cracker of a game. But there were so many fun ones that why not? But, you got to pick the one. If we're going to pick one, we're going to pick the one that ends with a goalkeeper scoring a back heel kick in the last second of the game.
Yeah, that was madness. But firstly, a little gripe. You have a little gripe going on.
Well, it wouldn't be talking about NWSL without talking about Paramount Plus for a second. Because, listen, I tweeted about this, and I feel like it's just important to throw out there. We don't need to spend time on this. For Paramount Plus, I think this is the larger picture of this is that I think the NWSL needs a deal with a different broadcast partner, not CBS. Or CBS needs to up their game because currently the broadcast deal with CBS and thus the games being on Paramount Plus. I'm watching the Gotham FC Kansas City game on Sunday night, and what pops up on my screen, Allie? A little box that says, "We're taking you to the Men's Champions League now."
No, thank you.
And I was like, what? No, I chose to watch this program. I chose to watch the live women's soccer game, please. And it had me actively, it said, if you don't click this box in 5 seconds, we're taking you to the Men's Champions League. I had to actively click out of it, taking me away from women's soccer. So currently, CBS and Paramount Plus are trying to take viewers of women's soccer away from women's soccer. And it's just another day of subscribing to Paramount Plus for women's soccer. But nonetheless, not to start on a negative note.
No, but let's talk about Portland versus Angel City because this was a crazy game. And it was more crazy in the dying 5 minutes of this game. So it's 2-2. It's been 2-2 for a long time. Ertz, being Julie Ertz, scores a cracker for Angel City.
You know what was so fun about that goal, too, is that it was just a classic Julie Ertz goal in the sense that you're just like, oh, she's back.
Yeah,
she's
it's like
back,
she'd never
baby.
been away. So it's beautiful, and you think, that's it. Angel City are going to get a win over league leaders Portland, because Portland have been firing this
Yeah, the
season.
only team left undefeated. I mean, they've tied a couple times, this being one of them, but the only team that's left undefeated right now.
So you think this is going to be their first defeat, but oh no! Up steps
Bella Bixby, the Portland Thorns goalkeeper.
And it's one of those things that you see teams do all the time. Last-ditch effort, every player up. And so she goes up, corner swings in, bouncing ball, hits loads of players.
Alessia Russo's it.
Exactly. And it's like, a goalkeeper scoring a goal is a special thing. She's actually only the second goalkeeper to do that in the NWSL, the first being Michelle Betos, also for Portland. But just to get that goal, and even she was like, I didn't even know I'd hit it in. I didn't, like, she does the press after, she's like, I was like, did it go in?
That's such a classic goalkeeper too. It's just like, yeah, I'm just gonna flail my body around and see what happens up here. Ends up scoring. Yeah, I mean, this game was a blast too, because Angel City were coming off a really big game against San Diego. They played really well. We talked about it last week in terms of this is a different Angel City. They're more dynamic than we've seen. And coming into Portland, playing at Portland's home and being able to come out with a tie, almost a win, Angel City are climbing right now. They're one to watch for sure.
Talking of cities, let's go to Kansas City and the game against Gotham. They took it 2-0, which, frankly, it's about time Kansas have stepped their backsides up, because...
Yeah, I think this was their third win in a row now. Undefeated since Matt Potter has stepped away / been fired as head coach. And, you know, we were questioning the beginning of the season, what's going on with Kansas City? Why can't they put anything together? And I think it's a lot of factors. And I do think that obviously the coaching change has made a difference in a lot of ways. Number one, just different coaches, different tactics. Number two, I do think that it forced this team to gel in a way that teams don't necessarily gel so quickly at the beginning of the season. And I think it put them on a fast track to that, which can really help. And then, honestly, Lo LaBonta.
Yes.
This is the first time I've seen her in the form that she was in last year. She's had a tough start to this season, and she was the game changer for Kansas City in this game. I mean, obviously, Debinha was being Debinha and you know, MVP probably of the week. But in terms of the midfield and holding it down, Lo LaBonta is a game changer for Kansas City. And to see her play well, it means a lot for this team.
Absolutely. And then the final game that had pretty much everything in it
Yeah.
is Racing Louisville versus OL Reign. My goodness me. Okay, so it was the 1,000th game.
Officially the 1,000th game of the NWSL, which honestly doesn't mean all that much, but they made a big deal of it. So that's not true. I shouldn't say that. I take that back, frankly. It's quite the feat, especially here in the U.S. with the history of 2 women's professional leagues already collapsing, for the NWSL to celebrate their 1,000th game. So that is a milestone.
It is.
I certainly take that back.
It is. And then it also had a Pinot pen and a red card. What more could you want for the 1,000th game?
I have to say the commentary on this game made me so happy. And I haven't had the time to look up who was on color commentary, but whoever was on color commentary had me dying laughing. There was one point where there wasn't even analysis. It was just her screaming, "Oh my God, that's great goalkeeping!" And then there was a moment of just lamenting of, I wish I had been born just 10 or 15 years later, because I would have been able to play in this league. And it was just impeccable. We got to talk about this red card that was awarded too, though. A very soft, second yellow awarded to DeMello, who had just scored previously in this game for Racing Louisville. Foul got called, whistle got blown, ball falls to DeMello, she kicks it, and yellow card comes out for kicking the ball after the whistle. Come on now.
It's soft, but you've got to stop this descent in its tracks.
A second yellow? A second yellow?
But it's a yellow offence. So if you're already on a yellow,
I don't buy in to this rules are rules and they are implemented no matter what. We all know as players, as fans, yes, rules are rules, rules are implemented, but are you going to call the same type of foul in the 30th minute of a nothing game as you're going to call in the 30th minute of the 89th minute of a Champions League final? No! Just like you're going to call different yellows as the first and the second. This turned into a red card because she kicked a ball?
But if you're already on a yellow, you've got to be more careful.
Absolutely not.
If you're already on a yellow, you've got to be more careful.
It's just too much for me. Absolutely not. But the NWSL is NWSLing. Let's talk about the standings for a second. Because, frankly, with the way teams have been playing, I think that you could watch the games this past weekend and look at the standings and be pretty surprised at what you see. I'm going to point to Portland and Angel City as the first that we can start off talking about. I mean, Portland sitting at number 1, undefeated, like we just said. Angel City tying Portland 3-3, almost coming out with a win, sitting in 9th with just 5 points. Not something that you would expect.
No, absolutely. We've just got to talk about the Orlando Pride, got their first points on the board this weekend, beating San Diego. Come on.
We've mentioned this before. The Orlando Pride losses are not Orlando Pride losses of old. This team is looking strong. This team is looking dynamic. And frankly, if I'm going to pick a team that's going to be, I don't know, the Liverpool or the Leicester City of, probably I'll say the Liverpool of the NWSL, where they'll start low and they'll climb. I think that it's going to be Orlando. They're going to be a different team by the end of this season. And finally, over to the WSL as we enter the final games of the season. The top of the table race is hotting up. The bottom of the table race is hotting up. And there were some games that really affected where each team stood in the table. So let's talk about it.
Okay, we have to talk about, first game we have to talk about is Leicester versus Liverpool. Leicester pulled out a 4-0 win over the Scousers. And when you think that Leicester came into the beginning of the second half of the season in January with nil points, they had nothing on the board, and they've now pushed themselves to 10th with a game in hand over Brighton. This is huge. This is massive.
Oh, it's massive. It's absolutely massive. I don't even know what else to say about it other than what you just said. I mean, we've talked about this a lot on the podcast too, so I don't know how much more there is to add, but, this isn't a fluke for Leicester City. I think, when January happened and they started off strong, everybody was like, oh, it's the new manager bounce. They had some space. They had some time. No, this is Leicester City figuring it out.
They signed well in January. This is how you utilize the second transfer window.
And this is how you climb out of relegation, my friend. This is truly Leicester City. And this game happened first, right? So this game happened before Tottenham versus Brighton happened, before Manchester City versus Reading happened. So Leicester City not knowing, how the rest of them fared, knowing all that they know, which is we have to get the win to climb out here. And listen, I think that this scoreline is completely indicative of what happened in that game because Leicester City absolutely demolished, picked apart Liverpool.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And speaking of kicking themselves and not performing as expected, Tottenham-Brighton was a 2-2 draw. Brighton let the lead go twice. When you're in the position you
Heartbreaking.
You can't let Beth England do Beth England things.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so on Brighton, yes. And it's not even letting the lead go twice. It's letting the lead go twice within 2 minutes of scoring each time. It's like Brighton score, immediately concede. Brighton score, immediately concede. And you have to learn that lesson. You just have to. Otherwise, it is goodbye, and we'll see you when you climb back into the WSL, especially in the position that Brighton's in right now. And they've been playing better, but this isn't quite good enough. I think that, look, you look at the table, and after Leicester City got that win, when Brighton were winning, when Brighton were up 2-1, the way this would have unfolded had that scoreline stayed how it was Tottenham was going to be tied with Leicester City at 13 points, and Brighton was going to have climbed above both of them, which is absolutely wild. And we have to talk about Tottenham. We continue to talk about how is this team evaded this conversation. Frankly, of all of the teams who maybe deserve to be relegated, it's Tottenham.
Yeah. 100%. And I'm not saying that as a biased West Ham fan. I think they have not lived up to their potential at all. You look at the players that they have in their squad. To be in the position that they are, there is something monumentally wrong going on there. And yeah, they are lucky that they managed to pull out some results in the beginning half of this season, because from October onwards, they've been appalling.
They're such a disappointment as a club. And frankly, it comes from the ownership, who's, he I'm not going to say his name. He's such a disappointment. He obviously made headlines this past week for saying
that he wanted the WSL to be a closed league because that would make men's teams invest in their women's teams if there wasn't a threat of relegation.
He is the source of all things bad for Tottenham, in my opinion, because Tottenham have the resources and they have the ability to invest in players. You see it with Beth England, who, by the way, has been absolutely fantastic in how she's been playing. And I will be shocked if she doesn't make Serena Wegman's squad. If this is you play into the squad, she certainly has played herself into
100%. Now, finally, we have to talk about a club that is definitely doing themselves no favours, which is Reading. They lost 4-1 to Man City. They went ahead in a shock goal in the first minute and then crumbled. Absolutely crumbled, and they now have played one game more than the two above them, which is Brighton and Leicester, and are 2 points below. It's not looking good for the Royals. It's really not looking good.
It's really not, which is incredibly disappointing. And I think 2 games that could potentially help them climb out of relegation, but it doesn't seem like the future is in their hands. Obviously, Reading, 3 games left. They'll play Aston Villa. They'll play Tottenham, which will be huge. If they can take those 3 points from Tottenham, who knows what might happen. And then the final game of the season is against Chelsea.
So, that's enough on that one.
It is ever shifting, though. Even with the future not looking bright right now for Reading, they still are only 2 points below Brighton. Obviously, Brighton do have a game in hand, but they still sit only 2 points below Brighton, 2 points behind Leicester City, and 3 points behind Tottenham, nobody has a game in hand there, both at 19 games played. So if Reading can take Tottenham down, I don't know. It's truly anything can happen right now.
Absolutely. It's just keeping it spicy.
I feel like the relegation battle is always spicy in the WSL, but nevertheless, a massive week of women's football.
And that is everything at the WOSO Show for today. Check us out on our socials, which is at the WOSO Show. And make sure you check out our Patreon, because, as you may have seen, there is a new Matildas documentary that has dropped on Disney+. And we spoke to the producer, director, Alicia Ferguson, beginning of this season. The unedited interview based on that is on our Patreon for the 2 tiers and up. So make sure you check that out. And also, it helps buy us coffee, which keeps us motivated in the cafe in giving you
That's
guys
actually not what our Patreon money goes to,
No,
but
it's not,
okay.
it doesn't.
It goes right back into the podcast. So if you want to support the podcast, that's how to do it. And we've been highlighting that we're going to start creating a lot of World Cup-centric content that is going to start dropping this week and next, with roster previews, with group previews. So tune in.
Absolutely. But as ever, I've been Ali.
I've been Sarah. This is the Women's Soccer Show. Thanks, everybody.
Good night.
This podcast was edited by Monkey Hill Media. Visit monkeyhillmedia.com for more information.